Oh, it's time for NXT Vengeance Day 2022. And Tempest, this was a really good show.
It was a good show.
It was a really good show.
Hell yeah.
Thoroughly enjoyed my time with this. We are going to be mega positive on this episode today. It's going to be a great time. Those of you who are tuning in expecting the usual NXT negativity, well, you're not going to see it today, because this was a really good show. Honestly, I don't know what bit we want to talk about first. What was your favorite match of the night?
Probably Carmello Hayes and Cameron Grimes.
That's what I'm going to go with. So we'll talk about that first. We'll have that be the opening.
Forward to going in.
Yeah. We'll talk about that as the opening talking point, because generally the show was great. I didn't really have a specific match or talking point in mind. Just hot damn, this show was really good. The overarching theme of this was it was kind of like a takeover format, where you just had a bunch of wrestling, and the wrestling was good. Big profits, big money. It's all you need.
Funny.
Granted, it had the 2.0 flair of having the goofy backstage segments and the few bits and pieces thrown in. The pacing was a little bit off, and all these like little minor things that you expect from NXT 2.0. But they had a bunch of wrestling. The matches were really good. So great. Just do more of that. You know, it's real simple. And yeah, I think my match of the night as well was Carmello Hayes and Cameron Grimes for the North American Championship. Bloody great match, this one. But more importantly, Tempest, the shock return of Intangibles.
Yay!
They were back.
That's us. That's
the thing we do.
That's the thing. That's
the thing. That's why we do the LA of the W's. You know, that's the thing that we did. So, and you know what else as well though, Tempest? It's kind of a return, but they've changed the gimmick of Intangibles because they did it right this time. They didn't mix up nouns and adjectives. They actually did Intangibles this time. Which I don't know how I feel about that.
Kind of kills the gimmick a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's not as funny when they do it right.
Exactly. Which is weird. Also, yeah, for those expecting the continued bit of anytime we say something positive about WWE, we catch a Pokemon in Pokemon Legends Arceus. Not going to do that today because I don't have my Switch, and also the entire stream would just be catching Pokemon because we're going to be talking very positively about this show. So you can do it. Fine. You can go ahead, Tempest. I don't have my Switch. I'm in the studio.
Pokemon the entire show.
Yeah. So the Intangibles, they returned for this Carmello Hayes versus Cameron Grimes North American Championship match. I almost missed it at first. Like the name thing flashed up and I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And then I glanced back and I was like, wait, did that say Intangibles? And then had to like rewind, watch it again, saw it. Okay. Carmello Hayes' Intangibles. Athleticism, confidence. It's all right. Those are two decent things, you know?
Two decently solid Intangibles.
Yeah.
They might be slightly tangible.
They're slightly tangible, but at least they're both nouns in this case. That's something. Cameron Grimes, his Intangibles, he got 3 of them. His Intangibles
can't understand why he didn't win. He had more Intangibles. He should have won.
Intangibles. It's crazy. Heart, desire, passion, which I feel like a synonym.
I feel like all of those things are the same, but still.
But
I'm rolling with you.
Yeah. And they're all nouns. Once again. He is passion.
He is passion. He is confidence.
Yeah. But regardless of the Intangibles, this match itself was a bloody treat to watch. I thought this was awesome. What did you think about it, Tempest?
I thought it was a bloody treat. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, this was the match that we looked at and went, who could you match up on the NXT 2.0 roster and put together like a really great match? And this was one of the top combinations that we discussed. You know, they started building towards this match and we were excited because we were like, yeah, put this match in the ring and it's going to be great. And then they put the match in the ring and it was great. that it felt like there was like the appropriate amount of shenanigans going on, where I did not feel that Trick Williams' interference made Carmello Hayes' win feel less significant. I felt like it was the perfect balance of everything. Cameron Grimes still looked great. He looked like a star, but on this night, Carmello Hayes was just the better man. That's just kind of how it is. And they had a really good match doing it. I could not ask for more out of a match like that, especially if it's going to be kind of in the middle of the card. If it was the main event, maybe go a little bit longer, kick out of a few more things, whatever. But for a middle of the card title match, this is about as good as you can get for NXT.
Absolutely. I thought this was awesome. They had so many like great near falls in this match as well. I feel like WWE in the last like 2 weeks have just gone like, what if we just did a load of near falls in our matches? Let's just make them better. And everyone's just gone, yes. So then they've just done it. Did it on SmackDown with like New Day and Los Lotharios. They did it with Naomi and Charlotte. They did it here. There were a bunch of near falls in this one that were really, really good stuff. And yeah, there was like Cameron Grimes going for like a cave in, but he managed to hit Trick Williams on the outside instead of Carmello. Had a little in-ring sequence in the inside. Carmello hit his big leg drop and got the pinfall victory. It was honestly really, really good stuff. Would recommend going and watching it. It is really, really good match. But Carmello Hayes does retain. And later on in the night, we then had Pete Dunne, who was also victorious in his match earlier, approached Carmello backstage. And it looks like we might be getting a Carmello Hayes Pete Dunne North American title program now, which also
great.
Big fan of that.
Great. You know,
and they had Pete Dunne win his feud to build him up for this one, which I think makes a lot of sense. They didn't have, Tony D'Angelo lose and then just go, hey, to Carmello Hayes backstage, and then he gets a title shot, because that would be very stupid.
It would be. It would be. I like natural progression of the people who win matches go for the titles.
Yeah.
And the people that lose the matches don't go for the titles. It sounds like rocket surgery and brain science, but I can promise you it's not. I just think that this, I don't know what it is, but the last like few weeks, there's enough things about NXT that I like. I don't like how everything is done. I still think like the wrapping paper of this show is pretty bad.
Yeah.
But when it's like, okay, well, we've got Walter potentially going for the NXT championship down the line, but in the meantime, on this show, we'll be going after Solo Sikoa. I like that. You got Carmello Hayes and Cameron Grimes. I like that. We're going to have Carmello Hayes and Pete Dunne. I like that. I really like the whole Santos Escobar, Bron Breakker thing, all that. I'm intrigued about Dolph Ziggler and Tommaso Ciampa. We got the Creed brothers doing their thing. There's enough stuff on this show to make the show good. Yes. I said this in my edited review. If you just cut out all the sketch comedy nonsense, I think there's a decent show hiding in NXT 2.0, and it comes out in moments like this show.
Exactly, yeah. And I think it's how it was before, when we mentioned it was like main roster light, in that it takes some of the worst features in the main roster and it really like amplifies them on the show. I feel like it's now becoming much more like the main roster, in that it has its moments of brilliance and it has its good moments, and then that kind of gets clouded with a bunch of the sketch comedy and all that stuff. But because they didn't have many promo segments or skits from this week in particular, the wrestling got to shine this week, which is really the strength of any wrestling promotion. And this was really good wrestling. They've got some great wrestlers on their roster, and it's just showcased all the right people in all the right ways. And it was a perfect little blend on this show. Really enjoyed it. There was nice variation between the matches as well. Starting off with a big hardcore thing, going into a tag match, going into a singles match. It all just flowed really like nicely together. Really nice paced show. This in the middle of the card, I thought was so good. And this really truly reminded me of the good takeover days, when you had kind of the mid card, that North American title, or kind of like a mid card title thing, being like, Jesus Christ, you have to go and watch this match. This was amazing. And then it would ramp up to kind of like the main event match being like the big, like huge, Gargano, Ciampa, whatever, 7 that they have on that one. But yeah, it was, I just really enjoyed this show overall. Like this was me having to peel out the curtain a little bit. I was having a bit of a stressful day this morning. There was a lot going on, obviously with the whole Cody Rhodes stuff. There was, decision to do 2 news videos. There's one coming out later today as well, more about the Cody stuff. So that, there was extra stuff for me to do surrounding that. Had to get into the office and stuff was making me delayed. There was a bunch of extra stuff regarding, like, because it's Wrestle League today. We've got the prediction stream after this, which you should stick around for, by the way, on the WrestleTalk Podcast channel, because I'll be revealing who will be challenging Andy in the interim Jam That Championship match. It's going to be a very good time. Would recommend sticking around for that. So there was a bunch of extra stuff going on today, and kind of in all the breaks in between my other stuff that I had to do today, I also had to watch NXT. So I was like in the office doing this little thing, kind of speaking to someone, watching a bit more of the show. And normally that would really like break up my immersion in the show and really like kind of almost like put a damper on how I was feeling about it. At the end, I'd be like, oh, I don't care. Like, I was busy doing other stuff and not really paying attention. But for whatever reason, this show, whenever I was watching it, I was just having a good time. Even the stuff that wasn't that great, I was just enjoying it. I was just, I don't know, something about the show, something about watching good wrestling, Tempest, puts me in a good mood. Isn't that crazy?
Wild.
Yeah.
Wild. Yeah. Most of the time, NXT 2.0 to me is bad vibes. There's a lot of nonsense on this show. It just brings my mood down.
Yeah.
This was a week where I was just watching the show and the whole show was good vibes. We were getting good matches, like long matches that people were invested in. You'd get like a really huge near fall in the main event, and the whole crowd would pop, and you get your energy going. It was just a good show, and it feels like such a backhanded compliment that we're just like, oh, one good show. Look how positive we are. But like you could see the difference. There's no reason that you couldn't just put like 4, 5, 6 matches on TV, give them all like 10 minutes or whatever. You just do this every week. Like, I understand that this is a special, when you're not going to have the championship matches every week and the tournament finals and stuff like that. It's not going to be that extravagant by any means. But you could still have long matches.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, they set up a bunch of stuff for next week's show, which actually looks quite exciting. Like, there's a few things I need to get my notes here. So for next week, they've got the Women's Dusty Cup is starting next week. Cool. We had the finals of the men's one and women's one starting immediately afterwards. Great. We've got Grayson Waller versus LA Knight, which is kind of the culmination of this feud, which is next week. They've got Ciampa versus Ziggler next week. So they're already building kind of like, this interesting stuff. And we had the beginnings of like the Pete Dunne, Carmello Hayes thing on this show. There's threads that you want to see followed, as well as good wrestling that's set up for next week's show. So potentially, next week's show might also be a good one. Maybe. But that depends on how much crap they put in between basically.
It depends how much actual time is spent on the things that you listed.
Yeah.
Because I'll watch all of those things. Those things are cool. I don't need to see anything that takes place backstage in NXT.
Yeah.
I don't need to see a single thing.
I don't need to see Wendy Choo, I'll be honest. And Dakota Kai. That was a weird segment. We'll talk about that more later. For now, though, send in your Ultrachats, by the way, if you have thoughts and feelings about the show, to WrestleTalk.com/support, and we will go through all the ones that are $5 and up by the time the show goes off the air. Charles Berg said, so is Bron Breakker's character the alphabet killer? So far, he's kicked the letters N, X, and T so hard they broke in half. Yesterday, he burned the letter V alive. What do you guys think his next letter will be? My guess, he'll behead the letter P. Jam that jam.
I don't know what letters could have any kind of significance. It's got to mean something. All these letters, you can't destroy the alphabet and have it not mean anything.
I mean, I feel like his entrance. I really like the show. Bron Breakker's.
Hey, cut a bronze. There we go. I'm still doing the gimmick.
It wasn't very good. His Vengeance Day entrance was not very good. Didn't like it.
A little bit odd.
It was a bit weird, wasn't it? It's a bit weird.
A little bit odd. I don't know. Yeah. If this was another era, maybe he would just go and knock over a big thing that said TNT or something. I don't know.
Sure.
TBS, AEW, something like that. But they don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care about that sort of thing. So like,
great suggestion. Great suggestion from Andy Hannon in the chat. Destroy the extra K that's in his name.
Yes. Thinking. That's the correct answer.
Like it. Damian Gilliam said on the subject of Cody, topical, saying Cody, undesirable to undeniable. Being WWE champion is one of the only summits he's never reached. His desperate need to prove Vince wrong and Vince's ego that WWE is the mecca. Win-win for both sides.
I'm still trying to make heads or tails of this whole situation.
Man,
I'm not even close to fantasy booking this. Yeah. I'm not even close to fantasy booking all this. It's not straight in my mind yet. But I mean, if he's going, yeah, that sounds like as good a story as you can get. I saw I don't remember who tweeted it, so I apologize. But I saw somebody just being like, Cody Rhodes walks in and Vince McMahon is like in the corner. Bruce Pritchard walks up to him and he just goes, Bruce, how about we put this kid in polka dots? It's like, there's the part of my mind that's just like, Cody's going to be Intercontinental Champion in like a month. Totally. There's the part of my brain that's saying that, as opposed to the part of my brain that's like, well, they just took a top guy from AEW, put the title on him, or, make it a big deal. I have no idea what Vince McMahon's thought process is about this, so I don't know.
Yeah. And here's the thing that I don't know if many people have been discussing as well, is that something that's clearly quite important to Cody is his father's legacy and all like the trademarks associated with all his father's properties and stuff like that WWE currently holds the rights to. Maybe there's a thing where he could join WWE and get those rights. Get the rights to War Games. Get the rights to whatever else he wants. Starrcade.
Clash of the Champions.
Clash of the Champions, sure.
Maybe that's Great American Bash.
Yeah, because like WWE are going to pay all the money to get Cody in because it's one of AEW's founding guys. That is like a little kick to AEW just to have him on the roster. So like, I could see that being part of like some sort of deal that they do. Maybe Cody gets to do those branded events. Maybe he gets to run a Starrcade, and that's like Cody's little project off on the side or something. I don't know. Because to me, that seems like a very, very important thing to Cody. Was always about, he had to fight to get to use the Rhodes name, and he had to, he's always wanted those rights. He's always been competing with WWE to try and get those rights to his father's stuff because he wants to honor that legacy, and fair enough. So maybe that's part of his thought process. I don't know. Pure speculation on my part, of course.
No idea.
Who knows? Another Ultra Chat here from Icy Naomi says, would love to know how much time Tempest spent in making the Elimination Chamber video with the research and everything that went into it. Love the video. Also, can we see what Tempest put on his board this week? LIW for life. Mello, don't miss.
That man don't miss. He don't miss. You don't want to know how long that video took.
A little bit. A little bit. Hey, do you want to know something crazy? Crazy? This might be peeling the curtain back too far. We were going to do that for the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, there were a lot of people in the comments of that video just being like, "Oh no, do the Royal Rumble." That was the plan.
That was the plan. Was to do every Royal Rumble entrant ever ranked. But, funnily enough, there's a lot of people, and Tempest ran out of time because it was a lot of work. So we're going to do it next year. So fear not, the work is not wasted, which is good. We pushed it back to next January instead.
I don't want to think about how long that video is going to be.
It's going to be a long video, man.
I don't know. I don't want to peel back the curtain and inside baseball this whole thing, but I mean, it's just like there's like 1,200 entries because there's been like 35 years of Royal Rumbles. The last few Royal Rumbles have been 2 a year.
Yeah.
There you got your greatest Royal Rumble in there. That's 50. You got one that's 40. Granted, the first one was 20, so that balances out. But
sure,
still, it's like over 1,000 things.
Yeah. And granted, there's lots of repeats because
video.
because granted, there's lots of repeats because a lot of people have entered multiple Rumbles, but like, even so, that take out, maybe 100, 200 tops. So that's like 800 people. Like, it's a lot. A lot.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's not what we're talking about on the show.
Yeah.
We're talking about NXT. Keep sending in your Ultrachats to WrestleTalk.com/support, and we're going to go through all the rest of them by the time the show goes off the air. And also, just stick around after this stream because we're going to be doing the prediction stream for Elimination Chamber, where it is going to be Andy versus someone of my choice. I wonder who it could be for the interim Jam That Championship, because I'm not defending my belt at Elimination Chamber because Luke didn't defend his belt at day one. It's just fair, okay? Don't come at me about that. Let's get into the rest of this episode of NXT, which started off with the opening video promo was Toxic Attraction sending some text to each other about the show.
Sure.
A bit silly, but
Sure.
it's all right.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Go for it.
Yeah. We then started off with Pete Dunne versus Tony D'Angelo. Forget about it. Pete Dunne materialized in the ring. Thoroughly enjoyed that, where they were just showing the cage. It's the weaponized steel cage match. So they were showing all the weapons and all that stuff. Then Pete Dunne's music starts playing. The camera pans over and Pete Dunne standing in the ring. I was like, how did you get there? He was just kind of there, just appeared. Yeah, this match I thought was started off at the end of the match and just carried on. It started off in the closing 10 minutes of a long match. And they just did that 10 minutes. That was the whole match. And you know what? I loved it. It was great. It was all smoke and mirrors, all just weapon spots. Basically no, actual, wrestling involved in this. There was a superplex off the ropes, I think. Oh, sorry, off the top of the cage for Pete Dunne, wasn't it? Which was quite cool. It's a cool little spot. Fun little things, like he used, zip ties to cuff Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne then got a submission in on him while his hands were cuffed, and then Tony D'Angelo went through a toolbox and found pliers and cut himself loose, cut Pete Dunne's hands loose, which released the grip of the. That's quite clever, I liked it. I liked it.
Sure, I think he could find another way to release himself from the hold without giving up the massive advantage that he has of having this man basically handcuffed. That was my one thing. Was he got these basically he's got a pair of pliers, And why would you not just jab Pete Dunne in the side with it? He will let go. He will let go. But yeah, I thought this match was a lot of fun. It was just it was like candy, It wasn't a meal. It was just here, have your dessert. They're going to hit each other with things. Go through a table. You know what? For a 10-minute steel cage match in NXT, that's fine. Yeah. It is totally fine. When they got out the zip ties and everything, I was hoping that would kind of be the point of the match from that point on. And in my edited review, I used the example of the John Cena, Randy Orton, I Quit match, where the whole match is John Cena fighting through being in handcuffs or whatever. Obviously, they don't have as much time as that match, but I was hoping that there'd be more than just they did a couple spots and let him go.
Yeah, a little bit. But there was a kind of wild spot towards the end of this where Pete Dunne smashed a cricket bat over the back of Tony D'Angelo, hit the bitter end, and I was like, oh, cool, Pete Dunne wins, great match. And then Tony D'Angelo kicked out, and I was like, he kicked out of the bitter end. And I was like, is that the first time that's happened on WWE TV, ever? Has anyone else kicked out of the bitter end?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It must have happened at some point. We've had takeovers involving Pete Dunne. There's got to be one where Tyler Bate or somebody kicked out.
I don't know. I keep remembering that once he hit the bitter end, that was it. He just kept countering out of the bitter end. But then once he did hit it, it was that was the end. Kind of thing. I don't know. Anyway, I thought that was wild. I fully just said, cool, great match. And then he kicked out. I lost my mind a little bit. There were some great near falls after that as well. Tony D'Angelo hit a really cool like spinning like neck breaker kind of, or spinning suplex kind of deal. But in the end, Pete Dunne won with a bitter end. Fun. That's what this was. Good fun. Also, they had a cameraman in the ring. You know what's worse than having a cameraman in the ring while you wrestle? Having a cameraman in the ring in a steel bloody cage match.
Yeah, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Again, my
like,
argument of put a cameraman in the octagon during a UFC fight. It's the same thing. It's a cage fight.
Yeah. Because like they basically wrestled in 3/4 of the ring for this match. The quarter next to the door, they just didn't go into because the cameraman was there the whole time. Which, like, it's fun, but like, I don't know. There was a bit of it, like when they did that big superplex, like they nearly hit the camera with the superplex spot when they came down off the cage, and it's like that was close. You don't need to be that dangerous, you know. I understand you want to get good shots for a cage match because sometimes it's hard to see inside. I get that, but like, it's dangerous. Don't do that.
Yeah. I can't get my mind wrapped around the idea of like just another dude being in the middle of a sporting contest. Like if that were to influence things in any way, it just snaps me out of it. And of course, they then work that match around that so that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But then that like reverse psychology, like next level, like, well, they're only doing that because they can't do that because there's someone in the ring, and just my brain starts to melt at this. It feels like a really small thing, but I don't know. Also, caught a Zubat because it was a good match.
Nice. Good stuff. After that, we got a promo for Raquel Gonzalez and Cora Jade. Raquel Gonzalez is now like basically her trainer. She calls her at 5 a.m. Cora Jade did not want to get up. They go on a little training montage together. And at the end of it, Raquel Gonzalez is like, hey, you did good. Gives her a little fist bump. She's like, we're going to do this again tomorrow. And Cora Jade's like, tomorrow. Yep, cool. Totally do that. It was fine. It was good. Yeah, I didn't hate it.
No, it was fine. It had that kind of like, well, you wanted to be my partner, so get your ass out of bed kind of feeling.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, I laughed at the moment where it's like, do you have the stamina to last in this tournament? It's like, you're going to wrestle like once and then not again for like 3 weeks. And then again in like 2 weeks if you win. Like if you go all the way to the final and win.
Yeah.
I feel like one of these matches is going to be like 3 minutes.
Yeah, probably.
You know, they're going to beat like Yulisa Leon and Valentina Feroz in the first round in like 5 minutes. It was cool.
Yeah.
Whoa, glad she had that stamina. But this was fun. This was a fun little training montage.
At least this was about wrestling and training to be better at wrestling rather than, you know, trying to pick up women in a bar or something, you know?
We're trying to pickpocket people on the street to get better at heel tactics.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, which doesn't make any sense. We then had in hype for the Dusty Funners, we had promos from the Creed brothers and for MSK. I really liked the Creed brothers promo. I thought it was quite good. Good, like, intensity, helped along by Malcolm Bivens being awesome. I really liking the Creed brothers. I think they have a real lot of upside.
Yeah, they've still got the revival problem where there's nothing much there to differentiate the two of them. And
I can differentiate Tempest.
I don't know which one's which, I gotta be honest.
I know which one's which. That's all that matters.
No. I don't know. But that being said, I think they're a great little team. They remind me a lot of the Authors of Pain. That like they're the heel team. You can't really differentiate them, but they're a little bit green. They're still really good heels. And this was a really fun little match that they had and a fun little promo to set it up.
Yeah. And I'll also say, they're also good baby faces. Like, I liked them in their match last week against Chris Strong Vets. I thought they played the babyface role really well. And in this match against MSK, it was kind of a little bit loose as to who was the babyface, who was the heel. Like, both of them seemed to have like hot tag sequences, so it was more like babyface versus babyface fight, but it kind of worked. It was good. I liked it. MSK's promo I thought was less good.
Yeah.
Just because it was more of the goofy like style that I don't think they're very good at personally.
Yeah.
But, where Cameron Grimes and Carmello Hayes arrived at the show. And then we got Toxic Attraction versus Indy Hartwell and Persia Pirotta for the NXT Women's Tag Team titles. And you know what? This was probably my least favorite match on the show, but that doesn't make it bad. I didn't think it was a bad match. I thought it was still good. I still quite enjoyed it.
That's how I feel about it. It was a tag team match. I didn't feel like there was a ton to make it feel like especially unique. But that being said, like, it was just a solid little tag team championship match. And in another example of sometimes it's just okay to have like the heels win. The heels were just the better team. And you know what? They're the champions. So they should be the better team compared to, I was about to say most teams in the division, but there's like two. You know what I mean? Everyone's going around backstage and being like, oh, do you want to be tag partners in the Dusty Classic? Because there aren't any actual tag teams. It's just kind of like, all right, everyone, pick your Dusty Cup, buddy.
Yeah.
Regardless, I thought this was a little fun match. I like that they sent Persia Pirotta into the steps and then did their little high-low double finish on Indy Hartwell. It was just simple. It wasn't hocus-pocus and complicated like normally it is.
Yep. Persia Pirotta did a double Samoan drop. That was nice. Like that. And yeah, I thought their finish, their little high-low finish, I thought that looked really nice. That was really cool. JC Jane hit like that huge like spinning kick. It was almost like a Trouble in Paradise kind of kick. It was really cool. It was nice.
Yeah. Thumbs up.
Liked it.
They're going strong. Strong on this episode of NXT.
Yeah. Wendy Choo backstage gets rejected by Amari Miller. She asked her to be her tag partner for the Women's Dusty Classic, and she said no. And she's like, yeah, no, that's totally fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah, we're still friends. Don't worry. Amari Miller walks off, and then she goes because she's a child, you see. She then spots Dakota Kai and says, you should be my tag team partner. I still don't know what Dakota Kai's character is.
I don't have the slightest clue. Absolutely no clue.
She has someone that she speaks to who isn't there. She's got a little Jimmy, basically.
I was about to say she's R-Truth in 2011 before he became comedy.
And then Wendy says, you know, if either of you figure out if you want to tag with me, let me know. Can't wait for the follow-up. We then got the announcement that 205 Live is being replaced with NXT Level Up. It's AEW Dark, but for NXT.
It is. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to like weep for 205 Live or anything at this point, but I mean, it's sad. This show never got off the ground ever.
And at one point, it had the best wrestler going.
Yeah, Mustafa Ali and Buddy Murphy have an incredible match where there's like, have a no DQ match, but you're not allowed to have any weapons.
Yeah.
Any weapons. And they were like, can we use the steps? And they were like, fine. And they're like, okay, let's have a 4.5-star match using only the steps. It's like, why are these people not on TV? And that was the entire run. It was just like, it was all the people that should be on TV instead of Baron Corbin.
Yeah.
You know? But
yeah. So we basically got an AEW Dark.
Yeah.
Which is cool. More matches, for more experience for green wrestlers. Good.
Yeah. You need a show like that. I would prefer shows like that, like, you know, happen before they get put on TV, a TV show. Yeah. You know, the same way that I don't want to see all of the AEW Dark matches on Dynamite instead. That would also probably be kind of lame.
Yeah, I agree. Brooks and Jensen were in a bar. Jensen went on a Valentine's date and he thought it went really well, but it turns out he didn't because the woman said, love you like a brother, and she paid for her bill, which is apparently a bad thing. This went on for much longer than it needed to. That was my takeaway.
This man is a buffoon.
Sure is.
Like, I feel like this is like a storyline from like 15 years ago. The whole point of the segment was that he ended up in the friend zone.
Yes.
That's what they built to, and that they couldn't say friend zone because that's like a dirty word.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make a difference because that's what the point is.
Yep.
This This is the sketch comedy that it can just do away with. Let's get back to the wrestling.
Yep. Well, before we get back to the wrestling, we have an in-ring promo segment with LA Knight and Grayson Waller, where Grayson Waller had threatened that he was going to arrest LA Knight because he breached the terms of the restraining order, which is not how restraining orders work.
Mhm.
But he comes out with a load of police officers. He's like, there he is. There's the guy. Look, see? And he throws back to a load of clips of LA Knight beating up Grayson Waller and says, look, see? He's violating that restraining order. Arrest that man. LA Knight says, no, sir. Because look at all these clips. And he throws 2 clips of Grayson Waller beating up LA Knight. And he says, look, in this contract right here, it says, as part of the restraining order, yada, 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 LA Knight can't touch Grayson Waller. But also, Grayson Waller can't touch LA Knight, which means this contract is null and void, which means, Ollie, you can get out of here. And all the police officers were like, pretty compelling evidence. And then they left. And then LA Knight beat up Grayson Waller. You know, this is a big ask. If you can take aside the fact that that's not how restraining orders work, if you can take that aside for 1 minute and just buy into this restraining order, this little contract means that LA Knight can't touch Grayson Waller, but it's null and void if Grayson Waller attacks LA Knight, this was solid heel comeuppance.
That's just wrestling. That's pro wrestling.
Yeah.
You know? They gave it they slapped a stupid label on it that made it not make sense. But if you ignore that it doesn't make sense for a little bit, it's not that bad.
No.
I prefer that this whole thing has built to the fact that Grayson Waller is dumb.
Yes.
You can have a dumb heel. We've seen way too many times like you do all this and the babyface is the one that is made to look stupid. You can make the heel look stupid. That's fine. That's fine. I'm not worried about that. That being said, I feel like every single week that we watch this show, we get further and further away from like the heat that this man had attacking Johnny Gargano.
Yeah.
This man's not the top heel of NXT like he was 2 months ago. You know, now he's just goofball Grayson Waller.
Yeah. And, you know, props to him. I think he sold the police officers walking away quite well. And he was like, wait, you mean that this doesn't matter anymore? And he's like looking out towards the ramp and LA Knight's behind him. He's like, does that mean he can do whatever he wants? Like right now? And then he kind of like resigned himself. He was like, oh, he's going to beat me up. And he was like, and then he like dropped the mic down. And I was like, that's quite good selling. And like turned around and then LA Knight beat him up, which was good. I quite enjoyed it. So yeah, overall, this was okay. I enjoyed it. If you think about the very stupid stuff, which you know, happens. Indian Purge brought her backstage. There's also Dexter Lumis. I don't know what else happened in the segment because I checked out.
Duke Hudson walked up.
Oh, sure.
Persia Parada is upset at Indy Hartwell for being married. It seems like. I don't
Checks
know.
out. I don't know. Tommaso Ciampa did a promo. I'll be honest. Don't know what he said. Said something about Dolph Ziggler, probably.
Yeah.
This is his home. I got that line.
Yeah, loyalty. Yeah. Saying, like, don't mistake my loyalty for complacency or something like that.
Sure. Solid.
So, explain why you've never left NXT and etc. Yeah, that's all fine. Well and good.
Carmello Hayes did a promo ahead of his match as well, which was good. And that led straight into his entrance as well. Like the ending line of his promo was him actually doing it on the stage, which then led into his entrance, which was quite good. Liked it. And we had the match that we already spoke about, which was awesome. We then had Katie Ray smashing up some stuff. She offers the bat out to Io Shirai, who then smashes a bunch of stuff and really enjoys it. Zoe Stark comes in with a mug, be like, hey guys, what's going on? Io Shirai grabs her mug and smashes it. Thought that was quite funny. Cool. Katie Ray and Io Shirai are going to be a team.
I don't know why Zoe Stark is still hanging around with the cool kids.
Not a clue. Not a clue.
Yeah. It's fine. Io Shirai and Kaylee Ray should be a fun little team.
Yeah, they should. We then had MSK's entrance for their match. Spliced into their entrance was images of Dusty Rhodes. So Cody Rhodes to NXT confirmed. Also, they had a DJ, and the DJ was splicing in Dusty Rhodes' theme into MSK's theme, which I don't know if you notice, don't mix.
I don't know if you could find two more diametrically opposed entrance themes.
Yeah.
From Cowbell and MSK's like EDM nonsense.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I just wrote mixing in Dusty's theme into theirs.
It's bold.
That's all I had to say about that one. But then we got the men's Dusty Classic finals of MSK versus the Creed Brothers. And I thought this was also very fun. Really enjoyed this one. Malcolm Bivens had a little towel gag on his entrance doing the John Cena like towel thing that says like never give up. And then he turns around and says like, oh wait, no, you should. I was like, that's quite good. That's good. I thought this was the right choice of winners as well. This is a very fun back and forth match. Again, like both teams getting hot tag sequences, both of them looking like quite strong as well. Really, really enjoyed like how even they were portrayed. The Creed brothers managed to get the win in the end as Julius. See, I know which one's which, Tempest. Julius on the outside does his like rolling slam thing. Rolls him on the inside, does that kind of like leaning lariat to finish it off, and just gets a clean victory over Nash Carter. Great.
Again,
winners, Creed brothers.
This show it surprises me and it makes me feel good inside when there's clean finishes. You notice we didn't get like stupid DQs in any of the title matches? This to me is why this has felt the most like a takeover, like anything NXT 2.0 has done. And I think a large portion of it is because we got nothing but clean finishes.
Yeah.
Like it felt like every match here mattered and the ending of all of the matches were earned. More of that, please. Hell yeah.
100%. Really, like, as we mentioned before in the promos and stuff, I really like the Creed brothers. I think they've got a lot of upside. They hung with MSK. Like, they didn't feel out of place against, like, a very experienced tag team like MSK. I thought they looked great. And them getting the Dusty Classic win is great for them. Awesome. They're going to be going into a feud with Imperium. Speaking of, got a promo from Imperium. Got Walter in a polo shirt.
A little bit odd.
I don't know how I feel about that one, but sure.
Kind of looked like a dude.
He did kind of look like a dude. That is correct.
I'd never thought that I would walk past Walter at like Home Depot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could have walked past this Walter at Home Depot and not thought anything of it.
Yeah. Like he just looked like a tall man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, he said he's interested in the NXT Championship, and also Eichner and Bartel cut promos on Creed Brothers saying that they're going to win. And then Solo Sikoa interrupts and says, I don't give a damn about that ring. And I was like, oh, wait, you don't care about wrestling? Okay, sure. And then he says, because where I come from, what you do is you find the biggest, baddest guy and you make your mark and you slap him in the face. And I was like, okay, go ahead. So then he got up to the ring and said, that's what I'm going to do. And I was like, yeah, go for it, Solo. And then he walked away. And I was like, wait, what?
This was a strange dynamic they had going on here. Because in theory, Imperium are the heels here.
Yeah.
Solo Sikoa's the babyface.
Yeah.
Solo Sikoa talked himself into a situation that his mouth wrote a check that his ass could not cash. And he's like, I don't give a damn about wrestling. I don't care about that ring. And I'm just like, what? Why are the heels the one who's like, we are honorable men who will bring respect to this sport? And then the other guy's the disrespectful one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing the match, though, so I'll allow it.
Yeah. I just read back my notes of, I don't give a damn about that mat. And then I wrote, yay? Like, are we supposed to cheer that line? So yeah, Solo Sikoa versus Walter, though, sounds fun.
Yeah.
Nikkita Lyons got another promo. You know what? I think she might be all right.
She's a fine wrestler.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with the wrestling. Like, you put her in the ring, it's going to be fine. Her character's been different in every vignette.
Sure has.
She was a rapper. Then she was like, I like going to concerts, going in the mosh pit and beating people up.
Yeah.
And now this one, she was like a dancer or something.
Yep.
It's like, what?
Sure.
You can have multiple hobbies.
Mm.
But perhaps we can focus on what makes her a character rather than
What makes her good at wrestling, Tempest?
Yeah, why should I care that you're a bad rapper?
Yes.
Why do I care that we've got Iggy Azalea in NXT?
Yeah. Dolph Ziggler did a promo, and next week he's facing Tommaso Ciampa. Cool. Like that. Then we had the main event match of Bron Breakker versus Santos Escobar for the NXT Championship. This was also fun. I don't think it was maybe quite as good as the men's tag match or the North American title match, but I still enjoyed it. I thought it was good. Yeah, as we mentioned before, Bron Breakker lights up the Vengeance Day logo for reasons. Then came out for the came out for the match, and I like this. Okay, if I'm gonna nitpick here, which I am, because that's my thing, that's what I do. I like that on this show. You know, we got a lot of good wrestling, and obviously all the face heel dynamics worked, and the finishes were great, and all that stuff. I dislike that in WWE, mostly, if you're a heel, you have to use dirty tactics in order to take control in a match. Like, you can't just be a good wrestler, right? It's either you use your cronies and they cause an outside distraction, or you do something behind the referee's back, or you do an illegal move, or you do something to regain control. And I understand that heels can get away with that because they're heels. That's sort of the point. But they don't have to do it every time. And I feel like this one, for me, like, Bron Breakker was in control of this match for ages until Legado del Fantasma got involved, and then suddenly he was in control. It's like, could he not just take control for a bit because he's a good wrestler? You know? Like, it's just something that kind of winds me up a little bit. It didn't detract from the match that much. It's just something that I noticed in a lot of the matches.
I get what you're saying, though, especially if it's a match like this where the whole idea is like, oh, you've only wrestled a dozen matches. You're the champion. Look at me. I'm Mr. Experience. That whole chestnut.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like in that scenario, yeah, you can just have Santos Escobar out wrestle Bron Breakker because that makes sense. He's more experienced. Have Bron Breakker make a mistake and have Santos Escobar capitalize on it. Again, it's nitpicky. Didn't detract from my enjoyment of the match at all, but I understand where you're coming from. I think I enjoyed this match about as much as the men's tag and not as much as the North American title, but this was pretty much everything I wanted out of a Bron Breakker Santos Escobar match. That pop when Dolph Ziggler super kicked Bron Breakker, those people leapt out of their seats.
They sure did.
Thought that was a finish or some momentous happening. And that was pretty cool. That was a pretty neat little thing.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, Dolph Ziggler came out, hit a super kick on Bron Breakker for a near fall from Santos Escobar. Crowd bought it. I didn't, but it was still cool because hearing those crowd reactions, you know, whether they're directed or not or whatever, it still amplifies the show.
Yeah.
And yeah, hit the super kick, near fall. Dolph Ziggler was really confident. He was really upset that didn't do it. So he climbed back into the ring, but Tommaso Ciampa came out, interrupted him. They brawled out the way. And then eventually Bron Breakker hit his huge gorilla press into the power slam for the win. Clean retention over Santos Escobar, which I think, again, was the right choice. Yay. Fun stuff.
Yay.
In the show.
Thumbs up. Well done, NXT.
Yeah.
Gold star for you.
Absolutely.
Good show with good wrestling and good finishes and logical storyline progression. Just give me that every week. You just did it. Now do it again.
Like, I'm not expecting the quality of wrestling to be that high every week because this was a TV special, right? You put on some of the best matches that you can put on in this, and this is probably some of the highest caliber wrestling that they can do. That they can do. And I understand that you can't have this quality every week, but you can have at least one or two matches like this that are going to be really, really good. Give them some time, give them a clean finish. Profit.
Yeah.
Also, Bron Breakker has a very cool spear.
Yeah.
It's good. Like it.
It's good.
Yeah.
Good show.
I don't think we have any more Ultra Chats, Tempest. So I think that's going to be it for the show. So stick around, because very soon we'll be doing the predictions stream for Elimination Chamber, which is happening this Saturday. It's going to be Andy Natson vying for the interim Jam That Championship, because I guess that's what they're doing, because I'm not defending this belt at Elimination Chamber. So I'm going to be announcing who I'm going to pick to be Andy's opponent. Someone who, you know, I feel like has been overlooked maybe in the championship picture. Someone who hasn't had a championship. They're overdue a championship opportunity, I think, at least. Someone with some kind of intangible quality. Who could possibly say who it's going to be, you know? So tune in for the prediction stream, which is happening in like half an hour. Stay tuned for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you for watching this episode. I'll be back tomorrow with Luke doing the AEW Dynamite review podcast as well. We've got the Friday show with Ollie and Denise. Tempest and Luke will be doing all the Saturday stuff before the live reactions. I'm away. I'm taking my championship with me. So yeah, it'll be Luke and Tempest this weekend. Stay tuned for all that content and stick around on this stream, because you might be redirected straight over there to the prediction stream. Thanks for watching. I almost pressed the intro instead of the outro. That would have been something. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned. Jam That Jam. LIW for life.